Good evening, councillors. I declare open the ordinary meeting of the Greater Hume Council, Wednesday 16th of December 2020. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this Council's meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. I remind you that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You are also reminded that if or when speaking you are to be respectful to others and use appropriate language. Greater Hume Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this council meeting. I'm calling on Councillor Shulk to lead us in prayer. Thank you, Councillor Shulk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pardon me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings. We ask for your strength and guidance throughout this meeting and thereafter as we look to serve the residents of this Shire. We ask for clear thinking and sincere hearts as we approach the business matters we will be discussing shortly. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting, each participant and the work and people they represent. Amen.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people, and I pay my respect to their elders past and present. There are no apologies or applications for leave of absence, but I would just like to make a comment, and I'd like to express sincere condolences and sympathies to Councillor Parker and her family on the passing of her sister-in-law, a much-loved sister-in-law, and we hope that you are recovering. Thank you. Item number 5, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting, 2 meetings.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer and Councillor Quinn. Move both. 2020, it's got 2 at the end of the... all those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We have action reports from the minutes. Please state the page number and the item or minute number if you have any questions or queries. No? Councillor Weston?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to bring up minute 5737, the closure and sale of unused road.
5737.
5737, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Is it the appropriate time to say that the email that we received from Steve Campbell has a lot of appropriate things in them, and mainly the use of that road, or that unused road, for fire vehicles to travel through, and if there is a solar project placed in that vicinity, I think we need every road available that there is, and we shouldn't allow this to be closed.
Yes, I think Mr. Pinnock will make a comment. Or Mr. Oh,
Okay, so what the situation will be is before any determination is made on that closure, it will come back to council for councillors' consideration. So basically, as it said there, we're expecting that we'll put a report to the February meeting about it. We're currently seeking some legal advice in relation to the Crown Lands Act and objections, and that will help inform the report to the February meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
any further queries, councillors? No? Very good. Move on. That being the case, officers' reports, Part A, Environment and Planning, number 1. The draft Greater Hume Council Fixed Development Consent Levy Development Contributions Plan 21. there before you, councillors?
I would like to move it, but I have a question, because the Gindra multi-purpose hall, 150,000, what's that meant to cover?
It would just be a contribution from that fund towards that project, but it's a small component of the job. But that's all it would cover. It'd only be a part commitment of councils towards it.
So anyway, I would like to move it, the motion.
Move that recommendation?
I'll second it, Madam Mayor, with a question to follow.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Question, Councillor Meyer?
Question, Madam Mayor, to Mr Kane. Why have we suddenly got 3 dog parks? Is that the area of interest note at the moment?
Well, I'm happy to defer to my colleagues about the need for the dog park, but we have had some inquiries from people wanting to have dog parks. Initially, they arose from Gindra, where there's the overnight camping area. So there's no area separating the overnight camping area from the dog park, the off-leash dog park, and it is hard to have off-leash areas now without a fence, really. Like, that's the way most councils have gone. We've got off-leash areas in our council areas, but without a fence, they're a bit of a waste. Really, a bit of a waste of time, largely, unless all the dogs there are very obedient, which they're not, and that's why most councils have gone to putting up a fenced dog park where they can be off leash and socialise with other dogs. And I think from that perspective, they're very worthwhile. Particularly, say, the one at Holbrook could be probably used by visitors travelling with dogs, which is more and more popular as well. So, yeah, I think that's just a bit of infrastructure that people are wanting now, and it's also a bit of infrastructure that fits well with the Section 712 plan, which is supposed to be for social needs and the like, and not necessarily always hard infrastructure. So I think it's probably a good fit in the Section 712 plan.
I don't have any problem with it. I was just asking.
That's a question. Any further comments or questions, councillors? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Governance, the extraordinary meeting report. Thank you, Councillor Quinn, and seconded Councillor Weston. There's a recommendation there. Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item number 2, the Greater Hume Council response to the coronavirus COVID-19. There's quite a bit of information there and a recommendation.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Seconded, please. Councillor Meyer. Do you wish to comment, Councillor O'Neill?
No, it's nice that we can think about doing this again. I think people will welcome it.
Thank you. Any opposition?
Through you, Madam Mayor, is it our role to make any comments about job seeker or job keeper? There's a lot of organisations that are getting together, trying to figure out what the problems the country's going to have down the track, particularly industry who find it exceptionally hard to employ people now. It is a very big problem that anything above local government seems to be sweeping it under the carpet, the states and the feds, but it's going to be a major challenge.
Alright.
Well, look, you know, it's a tricky one, obviously, because it's the remit of the federal government. But anecdotally, I guess you're right that you know, we seem to be getting some feedback that, you know, it's difficult to recruit into certain industries at the moment because of it. Therefore, you know, it may be something that we might consider, you know, making some representations about, because obviously it's having an impact on some of our businesses and ratepayers, but whether we need to do a bit more homework on it first, I guess is the question.
Madam Mayor, possibly that is the case, Mr GM, but this tier of government's closest to the people, and that is the message coming from the people that I mix with loud and clear, that we should be doing something about it. The next two tiers of government are very removed, nothing against them, but very removed from the people sort of thing. And the industry's answer, and this came from the capital of New South Wales, their answer is to get smarter and do away with people. But that's sad, because we're going to have this tier of people that are going to go nowhere. So I suggested early in the new year we try and do some thinking about it, perhaps.
Thank you for your comment. It's been moved and seconded. Any further comment? Councillor Parker.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I support Councillor Quinn's comments. I did notice today that John Barilaro was making an announcement in regards to school leavers and an incentive for them to go work in regional Australia and work for primary industries. So that's welcomed, but it is extremely hard from a business owner who employs a lot of people to get workers, to get employees. They just don't want to work. They don't have to. That's the problem.
Yes, that's exactly the whole issue. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item number 3, the schedule of council meetings. There's a recommendation.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn, a seconder,
Second.
please. Councillor Schill, thank you. Any comment, opposition? If not, that's carried. Thank you. Item number 4, provision of general practitioner services.
Move
And
the
Mayor Moe.
recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer, and a seconder. Councillor Parker, thank you. Do you wish to comment?
Unfortunately, Madam Mayor, we have to be very astute in terms of doing all this, and we certainly need to get doctors into the community. I would make a note that there are some big media groups starting to take the issue up on behalf of country New South Wales.
Thank you. Any, Councillor Quinn?
Any more relevant information, Mr GM, or is it just the way of the recommendations?
Well, look, what I would say is that certainly in relation to, I guess, the replacement of Dr Reddy, things aren't moving as quick as perhaps council or the community would like. But I think at this point in time, we need to support Sarcon Medical, and you know, I guess put some trust in them that they will be able to find a suitable doctor in time. It may well be that there's got to be a locum work out of Colcan for a period of months, and we did. Well, council did put a post on social media recently looking for a short-term rental property, which we wouldn't be paying for, but to try and assist Sarcon to find a short-term rental place for a locum doctor, in the hope that longer term, say within 6 months, then a suitable doctor would be able to be recruited. Now, I think it'll be really a little bit of watch this space, I think, over the next month or so to see how that unfolds.
Any further comment? No. Prepared to vote. Those in favour? No opposition? Carried. Thank you. Item number 5, adverse event plan. There's a recommendation there with the annexure 2. Mover, Councillor O'Neill.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Parker. Do you wish to speak either?
No, it's good to see this being planned though, because I know there was some discussion in Gindra about, you know, do we have a plan? So,
Right, okay. We do, we will. Very good. All right, Councillor Quinn.
Having more than glanced through the plan, it reads very well. But these plans have, I know we we had to do it, but these plans are, have been documented right across the country for quite a long time, some of these plans. The last 12 months have showed how ineffective they are. There's staggering words there. The mental health issues and the neglect and everything else that goes with these disasters. You've only got to look at the modern media and find out that they haven't been addressed. Now I know the comments possibly don't fit because the plan reads well, but what I'm trying to emphasise is the fact that we've got to make it actually work, not just words sort of thing, because there are examples everywhere that there's been total neglect financially and mental health wise for people who are affected by the bushfires.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I just, it was a bit of a question, comment. With the telecommunications section, I still can't sort of get my head around it. That's more for the emergency workers, having the satellite phones and utilising Wi-Fi and that sort of satellite Wi-Fi. What about the general everyday residents that the communications weren't being able to be conveyed to the residents without somebody like happened to Jijelic running around physically? So does that, you know, how do those people still become informed in those situations?
Look, it's a good question, Councillor Shaw. And obviously there is a lot in the bushfire inquiry about that particular issue and how that can be improved. So, look, I think that, and you will have seen some ads recently that have been starting to appear on telly about, you know, making sure that you've got a, you know, transistor radio with batteries, you know, so that if in the event that you lose power, you can still listen to the radio. But, you know, there needs to be, you know, I suppose some clear lines that the actual radio station that's going to be providing these emergency broadcasters needs to get, you know, timely information as well. So I think to some extent that's probably a little bit above this particular plan that Mrs. Killaley worked with a group from Re-Rock on, but I think that the point that you raised, you know, it won't be probably for this bushfire season, but I think the point you raised will, I guess, find its way into some changes over a period of time. And I think, as I said, you know, some of the little things that we've seen appearing on TV more recently is about people being more prepared. You know, because we've probably all been a bit lethargic at times. That it's, you know, we'll be right, it's not going to happen in our area. And then last year we found out it happened in almost, you know, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but in every area, which left, you know, the whole resources, you know, extraordinarily strained. So, and communications was obviously one of the big issues that's come out of it, and that's, you know, clearly figured in a lot of both the state government and the federal government inquiry. So I think, you know, there will be some changes in time, but it's probably going to take a little bit of time to affect those.
As we saw it move, the fires move so fast, like even if you're physically looking, you think, oh, well, we'll be right, and then it's on you before you can even make a call sometimes.
But with the adverse events plan, and even with the building the bushfire community resilience and resource recovery fund that we've applied for, like we've bought some additional, or the plan is to buy some additional satellite phones. Because, you know, even at Gingelic, when it was set up as a staging point, they had no communication. So once we got a satellite phone to that location, that at least provided, you know, some communications from that particular township, which was better than nothing. Still, it wasn't covering everybody, but, you know, the plan is that we will have you know, in the event, if there was an event like that again, we will have a satellite phone at Gingelic, even though it's not in our shire, Lankeys Creek, Telmalmo, Wollongong, for example, if, you know, so that there is potentially at least some community coverage in the short term. But, you know, some of the other things they're talking about, how, like, you know, cells on wheels and that type of thing are also options as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Parker?
And I was just going to say to Councillor Shield, I think when we're informed, as in council, we can better inform our residents of the situation, and that's what I found being up at Gingellic without a phone. It was extremely difficult. So when we got that satellite phone, that changed everything, you know. But I think if council are informed and our staff are informed as well, exactly, yeah.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item number 6, proposed residential subdivision at Culcairn.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Weston. Moved and seconded. Do you wish to comment?
I think it's an opportunity that presents itself for the people of Culcairn and District and should be acted on.
Any further comments from anybody? Councillor Quinn?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it would be one of the best bits of agricultural country in the Shire, but Culcairn's got to grow. This is what happens in life. It is very good agricultural country.
Thank you. Prepared to vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Corporate and community policy developments. There's a number of them there. And a recommendation. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Seconded by
Happy to second.
Councillor Parker. Any comments or questions? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Engineering, the land acquisition and electrical easement creation, Henty Rail Crossing project.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer and seconder, Councillor Quinn. Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor, I did try and read the document, speed read it, but I got bogged down in the middle of it and I'm still wading my way through it. I congratulate the engineer on putting together such a document, just as I'd like to congratulate the engineer at this point in the result that he's shown and how capable he is in preparing Grubman Road. It's absolutely fantastic. And I suggest you pass this on to your staff at the same time.
Definitely can't take the credit for all of that, Councillor Byer. My staff do a lot of the work.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Any comments or questions, councillors, over that at one? No? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Engineering, number 1, land... Oh, that's what we've just done, sorry. Policy development, revised water... Is that in there?
No, that was in that one.
That was in the other one. 2 recommendations. Thank you. Officers' reports, Part B, to be received and noted.
No.
Yeah.
We haven't done number 2 yet.
Yeah.
Oh, number 2, sorry. I've got
So
mixed
move-
up because it's up there.
Yeah, move Councillor Quinn.
Yeah, Councillor Quinn and who seconded that? Councillor Parker. Thank you. Sorry. Any comments, Councillor Quinn? No, or from anyone else? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Officers' report. Part B, to be received and noted. So there's a fair bit in there. Item number 1, Councillor Parker.
Happy to move it, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
can move as a block if
Do you want to move it as a block?
Happy to do that. Yes.
Thank you. So that will be
One,
1, 2,
government 1, corporate and community services 1, which is the investments,
Yep.
and engineering.
and engineering.
Which is the town and signage.
All of those. Happy to. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Quinn?
And the question,
Yes.
corporate community services one, how much is the lack of interest drawing down on our budget for the year?
In round figures, compared to what it was maybe a couple of years ago, $500,000 in round figures.
But in this year's budget, they.
Oh, in this year's,
Yeah.
I would think maybe 100K. ballpark.
Yeah.
Look, it's to get 0.5% is good, which is frightening.
All right, prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, just in part C, I might just draw councillors' attention to governance item number 1,
Yes.
where we're proposing that the
Yes.
roads tour will be held on a Friday, because I don't think the idea of having it on Saturday was we'd get more people there, and it hasn't really worked out that well, so we're suggesting we take it back to the Friday.
Fair enough. All right. Everybody's have got that noted in their diaries, they have, or will have soon.
The other thing I might just quickly say is that I did send out an invitation for the Inland Rail workshop, which was then promptly cancelled when they advised me that the plans wouldn't be ready by that date. I'm thinking, even though I know it's a bit of a log jam, but it always is at this time of the year or that time of the year, maybe Wednesday the 3rd of March, which means we'd have three Wednesdays in a row. Being 24th of March, 3rd of March, 24th of February, 3rd of March and 10th of March.
So Wednesday is the 3rd of March?
Wednesday is the 3rd of March. I haven't said it yet, I've just gone back to them and said, let us know what date you will definitely have the plans by, and then we'll work a date around that. But I'm thinking, they were saying they're going to have the plans by the 5th of February, but whether it's leaving it too short to have them by the next Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday I've got the council meeting, and the following Wednesday we've got the preliminary roads workshop, so it's then the following Wednesday.
All right, just need a
Keep
mover.
Wednesday spare.
Yes, as always. And if we're not doing anything, you can have the day off. Part C items, we need to move.
C and D maybe.
Yeah, C and D. Mover, Councillor Quinn, Councillor Parker, all in favour? Thank you. Where are we? No further. Any matters of urgency? No? No? Okay. I think we might have finished the meeting. How about that, councillor? I declare the meeting... Oh, sorry, councillor Meyer has some...
The permission of the mayor to give a report on today's Riverina Water County Council meeting.
Yes.
And the deliberations that took part over the past couple of months in determining who in the Shire is going to get the grants from Riverina Water this year. I'd like to go back a step and say that Riverina Water instigated this grants program last year, and it was a bit of a flop in Greater Hume because we carried a lot of the money over for 12 months and were able to spend it this year. In fact, the total spend this year is something in the order of 150,000 against the pitiful amount we had last year. That's because we were able to double up. However, this year a lot of people found out that the money wasn't spent last year, and we had an enormous number of applications. Most of them came through the Shire in one way or another, and they were aware of all those applications that were put in. Consequently, not everybody was able to be satisfied, but those who were approved today, and this will be the list that goes out, although there are some finer points that still have to be worked out with the Riverina Water people, those behind the scenes that make these sorts of things happen. But of interest to everybody that lives in the part of Greater Hume Shire who drinks Riverina water, they're the only ones that qualify to get these grants. And with not mentioning them in any particular order, the ones that were approved today were Holbrook Show Society of nearly $17,000 to upgrade a livestock project. Holbrook Community Gem, $20,000 for accessibility improvements to their doors, floors and footpaths. The North Waller Tennis Club for an amount of $15,000 to dismantle a fence from 1965 and install a new fence. The Walbundry Building Committee to create safer pathways at Walbundry Recreation Ground for an amount of $12,000. The Walla Walla Community Development Committee to put in an outdoor fitness park in conjunction and with the assistance of Greater Hume Council for an amount of $20,000. The Woolpacking Museum at Holbrook of $4,000 for an amenities upgrade. Holbrook Meals on Wheels to install an automatic door to help with accessibility to their building of $8,500. Henty Public School for the installation of refrigerated bottled water filling stations in the school grounds of $8,500. The Henty and District Cricket Club for new cricket nets to the value of $20,000. The Holbrook Australian Rules Football Club for an amount of $15,000 to install heating and cooling system in their new multi-purpose community building. There was a water conservation project approved for the Henty Tidy Towns Committee to install an automatic watering system in the Henty Lawn Cemetery of nearly $10,000. And there was an art and culture grant given to Walla Walla Community Development Committee of an amount of $6,750. The balance of that project is being made up by the Walla Walla community themselves, and that's to paint the Riverina Water Tower that's in Walla with a mural depicting whatever the Walla community chooses. That concludes the grants for Greater Hume for this year. I'd suggest that people reapply next year. However, the amount of money will only be half of what it was this year unless we're successfully able to have it increased to around the amount that it probably should be. The response, I can't describe it in any other way except as being fantastic. I haven't read out the Wagga ones, I haven't read out the Federation ones, and I haven't read out the Lockyart ones, but there's well over $1 million been spent in the past couple of years from Riverina Water towards community grants. Thank you for the opportunity of being able to advise you accordingly, Madam Mayor and councillors. And you'll note that I placed some biscuits around the table. I would suggest, and bear this in mind, really bear it in mind, the provider of those biscuits happens to be my daughter's catering business. They are meant to be eaten with a cup of tea. It changes the flavour entirely. Please try it with a cup of tea. Thank you.
That would be black tea, sir.
It should be black tea.
That's right. Thank you very much, Councillor Meyer, for the gift, first of all. Do we have to declare? But thank you very much for the information regarding these grants that have come from Riverina Water. I can tell you those that I am aware of, those people involved will be very, very happy to hear the news.
Sure.
So, and all of the others would be also, I think, and it's wonderful. Thank you, Father Christmas.
I would suggest that those who didn't get named don't get disappointed because your names are on the list and you'll have the opportunity again next year.
Yeah, yes. No, these will all be very well utilised, I can assure you. So thanks to Riverina Water. And I declare the meeting closed. So well done, councillors and staff.